All right, y'all, welcome to Keeping It Comic, and today we're going to be diving into Ultimate Black Panther issue number 1 through 3, and we're going to be covering issues number 4 through 5 in a separate video right after this one. But one of the things that I love about this series here is the little minor tweaks that they make to Black Panther and the other characters' background, while still keeping the essence of these characters, but tweaking just enough to tell some good stories. Now, for context here, this story takes place after Ultimate Invasion and Ultimate Universe, where the Maker traveled back in time and created an ideal Earth, preventing superheroes from being created. So he formed the Maker's Council, a group of supervillains that are ruling the world from the shadows. Now, after the Maker was locked away in a dome, the Council continued his work with Ra and Khonshu overseeing Africa. So this story revolves around their attempts to take down Wakanda to obtain a crucial item that could spell trouble for Wakanda and all of Africa included. But of course, before we dive right into it, guys, if you are new here, please consider hitting a like on this video. Also subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already, and also joining our Discord community. The link is going to be down in the description, where you can get more updates from us here outside of YouTube. Now let's jump into it. So Ra and Khonshu, as I mentioned, now they don't have direct access to Wakanda. They've been sending soldiers to search for a particular hidden item just outside of Wakanda, causing a lot of distress for the people of Africa overall. Now, in the opening shot, their soldiers destroy a village in West Africa and end up killing civilians in their pursuit for whatever answers they're looking for. Now, there were 2 Wakandan spies that witnessed this, and although one of them wanted to intervene, they agreed. It's like, listen, it's best that we rush back to Wakanda to inform King T'Challa so we can figure out what the next move is. Now, in this reformed Ultimate Universe, this is crazy. Like, T'Challa is married to Okoye, the former general of the Dora Milaje, who now serves as like a high mentor to the group. Now, Okoye struggles with Wakandan tradition because she feels more like a servant, despite actually being the queen. Now, T'Challa is trying to assure her that, like, listen, baby, I see you as an equal. Listen to me, forget about the tradition, right? Now, T'Challa is not really kind of admitting it, but he's haunted by nightmares, although he calls them dreams. So he's trying to downplay like their significance. Now, on the other hand, his father T'Chaka is like, listen, I am urging you to consult Matron Amala, who is the mother of the Vodoukan, because the Vodoukan, they believe that the gods are speaking to them, and T'Chaka believes that these dreams, that the gods are speaking to him through these dreams. T'Challa visits Amala at the temple. So she warns him of a violent uprising that's going to be within Wakanda and advises him to trust no one, right? So then the Wakandan spies, they finally get the report of what Ra and Khonshu had done to the civilians to T'Challa. So Shuri, she's like, listen, we gotta act quickly on this one here. People are dying. But T'Challa prefers a more strategic approach, knowing he doesn't really know what Ra and Khonshu are after. So he's like, why am I gonna jump directly into a war when I don't have all the answers? To which both T'Challa and Okoye then also even bring up this point that Wakanda technically is still a secret and it's not really known to the outside world. So that is a strategic advantage that we have. Let's not ruin that one as well. Meanwhile, Khonshu soldiers, they are continuing their assault on the outside, right? Like, they're about to kill a boy. But before that even happens, Killmonger, this dude, he looks good, man. Like, this the draw, he looked at the mask, he looks great. So he intervenes, right, and he takes out a bunch of these soldiers with his axe. You can see the blood on it. Then he like throws it one time and it kind of spins. It looks good. And then when like the ships, like the ships that are, the soldiers that are in the ships, when they try to retaliate, we see this lightning come out of nowhere and destroys one of them. And I'm like, what? Like, who is that? Well, like I said, like, meanwhile, Killmonger's kind of doing this thing. And then we see this like silhouette of this woman who just looks so majestic. They call her the Wind Rider, and we already know who this is, right? We know it's Aurora, we know it's Storm, and stop playing with us here. Now, during the Wakanda, so when we jump back here, during Wakanda's annual celebration of life, there was behind T'Challa a woman that was wearing a robe, right? So they're like, and it keeps on panning to her too. And then she throws off this robe, and then like strapped to her chest, we see this bomb, and then she shouts, for Khonshu, before like detonating and blowing up. So quickly, right, T'Chaka, he pushes off T'Challa off the stage. And as T'Challa is falling, this dude is suiting up. And listen, when he lands on the ground, I'm like, this boy looks so good with the, I just love that Panther drop. It's one of my favorite things to see. But then, man, like we see T'Chaka's body on the ground just like burning up, and I'm like, it's just so ugly to see. And I keep on asking myself the question, why can't they not just let T'Chaka live one time, guys? Let's let him live. This is the ultimate universe. Let him live one time. So now we know the truth, right? What Matron Amala had said with the warning of there being like dissension within Wakanda. Now this is proven to be true. Khonshu's followers, who call themselves the Moon Knights now, have infiltrated Wakanda, and which is pretty much basically leads T'Challa to be like, yo, we are at war. So then 30 days after T'Chaka's death, right, T'Challa has been hunting down within Wakanda Khonshu's allies, right? And like leading to like different interrogations, people are getting imprisoned. Like if you're suspicious, you getting thrown into prison, you getting interrogated. That's what happens, right? And the Koya is like warning him, like, yo, your actions, bro, are starting to instill fear into the people. And they haven't even properly mourned T'Chaka's death. And then you're also doing these antics, like everybody's afraid of you. So she's trying to counsel him, like, no, because she's also saying to T'Challa too, like, hey, I think you're also afraid. And he's like, afraid of what? And she's like, because you don't think that you're a good protector. Like, you know, she's kind of implying like, hey, your father died. You probably feel guilty for it. You maybe feel like you can't protect the rest of your people because you don't necessarily know what's going on. But he kind of like brushes it off as it's not really like a thing. So then T'Challa, he revisits Matron Amala, who tells him about a woman of light that is going to come to him. She says that like their fates are intertwined and that she will give him an heir. So T'Challa assumes that this means Okoye, and then talks about how he doesn't want to be a king of war. But Amala reminds him that, listen, destiny doesn't really align with whatever your personal desires are. Like whatever is supposed to happen, my guy, like it's going to happen, right? So then meanwhile, Khonshu and Ra, they're frustrated with this Wakanda woman, and there's like a hologram that she's shown on, and she's talking to them, and they're just like, well, you gave us faulty intel. And she's like, listen, I strategically placed the woman near T'Challa, gave you an opportunity to kill him. Y'all kind of screwed that one up. Like, that's not really on me. I gave you all of this that you needed. So now we know, of course, like now it's a woman that is within inside of Wakanda. And I'm assuming that this might be someone that's within the Dora Milaje, because it looks like it was like, how would she have placed that woman nearby T'Challa if she didn't have some power or pull? Either maybe she's not a part of the Dora Milaje, but she definitely has some pull to be able to put, you know, this person nearby T'Challa. All right, let's move on. Now in the Wakandan war room, right? T'Challa, it's pretty much like he deduces that Ra and Khonshu are targeting mines that have vibranium with them. To which Shuri's just like, yo, we hide our vibranium mines. But then Okoye's like, okay, no. Someone within Wakanda is leaking information to Ra and Khonshu. So then the spies that, you know, I told T'Challa about, you know, the attacks earlier, Foxel and Anon, they're like, listen, we have a lead. We think we know where Ra and Khonshu are hiding their power sources, which is like at a location that is at one of the corners here of Africa. So T'Challa, he heads to this suspected location, right? But on his way there, his ship gets thrown down, and Shuri was on comms with him. So when the thing hits the ship, she loses signal with him completely and has no idea what's going on. But we see later that the ship actually got shot down, which is then followed by these Moon Knight soldiers who start shooting at T'Challa over and over and over again. Like we see him just like he gets down, like he's down, and he looks like this is not going to end well, until we then see this like lightning again that comes from the sky. The Wind Rider, she has graced herself, graced our presence, or again, I don't even know what I'm saying, but she shows up again, right? And then T'Challa looks at her and he's like, woman of light? Who is Aurora? But the fact that he said woman of light, I'm like, Roy, be careful now. She's spoken for. I don't think this is the woman of light that she was talking about. But listen, Storm with dreads is something that I did not know I was missing in my life, and I'm so happy I got to see it here. Now, listen, back in Wakanda, weeks pass without T'Challa. Like, no one knows what happened to him. Shuri actively is withholding information. Although she doesn't know specifically what happened, she knows that she lost signal with him, right? Which ultimately kind of leads to confrontation between her and Okoye, because Okoye wants to know what happened, but she's not telling her that like anything happened. partially probably because she wants to keep Okoye from not worrying, but at the same time, she's worried anyway, so maybe it would have made sense to just tell her the truth anyways. They end up getting into like a little combat and a fight gear, like Shuri then like trips Okoye, which I'm just like, I don't necessarily know Shuri would really be able to best Okoye. Maybe Okoye is a little rusty. Either way, but Okoye is like, okay, if you're not going to tell me exactly what happened, can you at least let me know that T'Challa is on the right path? To which she says, yes, he's on the right path. Now, outside of Wakanda, T'Challa is talking to Killmonger, who explains why he left Wakanda, because he didn't like the fact that people, the African people outside of this, this royal Wakanda, were still being hurt. Innocent people were suffering outside. So he was just like, I had to go. And of course, Black Panther's like, no, but the Black Panther protects the innocent. To which Killmonger is basically like, yeah, sure, right? So they later on, Killmonger takes T'Challa to this hidden cave that looks like a panther cave, right? Which surprises T'Challa. So inside, T'Challa's suit won't follow his orders. Like, it starts to come off. And as they enter in, so like Aurora, she like ushers them in a little bit further on. And then we get to like see this image of this massive green earth looking orb that's in there. And then we see like these skeleton bodies that are just like circled, that are just like on the floor. So there's been multiple people who have tried to come here before and probably maybe touched it, and that's how they died. I don't necessarily know what happened, but either way, this is what Ra and Khonshu are after. So it's not the vibranium, it's this item here. And we find out what this is in issues number 4 and issues number 5. We get a little bit more insight into this here. All right, guys, hopefully you enjoy this here. Stay tuned for the next couple of videos that the video right after this one, where we're going to talk about cover issues number 4 and 5. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Join the Discord community here for more updates. And as always, thank you so much, guys, for kicking it with Keeping It Comic. Bye.